Today we're digging into something that, I think every language learner feels. Is getting fluent really about knowing more stuff, more grammar, more words, or is it a physical problem, a question of muscle training?
Right. It's a very practical question. I mean, should you be spending your time doing drills to train your lips and tongue, almost like you're going to the gym? Or is the best path still just, well, more input, more reading, more listening, really mastering the system?
My position is pretty clear on this. I think speaking is movement. You can train your brain all you want, but if the actual hardware isn't ready, all that knowledge just gets trapped behind what I like to call the lazy mouth. So for me, that targeted physical practice is the key. It's the missing piece.
I come at it from a different way. A very different way, actually. While yes, of course, movement is involved, I'd argue that cognitive mastery it's still the main road. The physical stuff is helpful, sure, it's supportive, but it's secondary to having a really solid mental framework of the language in the first place.
The problem, though, is the total disconnect. Learners will spend, hundreds of hours on really sophisticated input, but their mouth, their tongue, their jaw, they're completely untrained for the actual speed and rhythm of English. You need something like a daily, 5-minute mouth gym warm-up. If your mouth can't move fast and smooth with your brain, you're just going to freeze up. It's inevitable.
That's compelling. I get it. But I think you might be misdiagnosing why people freeze. If the real barrier is internal, fear, judging yourself, how does doing more muscle work actually fix that anxiety? My concern is that focusing too much on isolated lip rolls just distracts a learner from the much, much harder work of building linguistic clarity and, frankly, getting the words right.
Hold on. I see why you think that, but let me give you a different perspective. It's sort of like reading 100 books about how to do a push-up, but never actually getting on the floor to try one. All the grammar knowledge in the world is completely useless if your mouth hasn't been trained for speed. And this is why a technique like shadow speaking is so vital. You're copying the rhythm, the tone, right away. It trains the ears, mouth, and brain all at once. It builds that reaction speed you need.
But that assumes that the physical movement can be separated from the linguistic reality of it all. That's just not how flow works. Yes, speed should have a kind of musicality to it, I agree. But you get that by grouping words into these smooth sound clusters, like 3 to 6 words that just roll together. If the brain hasn't chosen the right words to put in that cluster, then the most physically flexible mouth is still it's just producing nonsense, isn't it?
We both agree that the internal fear is a huge blocker. I think we're on the same page there. But this is why the emotional training is so powerful. We need to train the mouth and brain together by almost acting out sentences instead of just obsessing over accuracy. If you repeat a phrase 5 different ways, say it sadly, then happily, then nervously, you make that sentence personal. It moves it from a notebook into, real life. And that connection is what overcomes the mental freeze.
I'm just not convinced by that. I mean, prioritizing some kind of dramatic, emotional performance seems risky if it comes at the cost of clarity. Most of the time, people just need to understand your words. While we absolutely have to address fear, I think methods like creating mental shortcuts are more effective. For instance, directly associating an English phrase with an image or a feeling, skipping your native language entirely. That connects English to meaning without sacrificing the basic structure.
Ultimately, we agree that, courage and just relentless practice are essential. No one's debating that. But I maintain that the language has to start to live in your mouth, not just in your head. And daily, focused physical training is the most practical way to get that confidence, to stop your mouth from freezing.
And I'd say that while we absolutely acknowledge the value of incorporating movement, the sheer complexity of language means that cognitive mastery, knowing how to build a complex thought, has to remain the focus. So the debate really remains, is the thing holding learners back truly muscle weakness, or is it a lack of practiced, high-level linguistic skill?